What I want to say is directed mostly at the people who live in this island, and that includes our unionist neighbours and those who voted for an exit. And it's also addressed to the British Prime Minister and the Irish Taoiseach. The people in the north voted to remain. That's very, very clear. That's the outcome of the referendum on this part of the island. And we made it clear in the course of the campaign that our interests, north and south, would not be served by one part of the island being out of the European Union and the other part of the island being in the European Union. And we stressed that because we have huge criticisms of the European Union, which I think are justified. And there's obviously a wake-up call for the bureaucrats and the elites in the European Union to sort out the democratic deficit and to make it a more citizen-centred, rights-based European Union. But in terms of this island, Mr. Cameron, or whoever succeeds him, have to accept the democratic outcome of this referendum in this part of Ireland. And everybody else who lives here has to accept that as well. And the British Prime Minister has no mandate whatsoever to negotiate or to speak for or to deal with the European Commission or any of the others there on behalf of people who live here. Finally, the Taoiseach has to have an all-island view. This affects all of Ireland, whatever about our attitude to the constitutional position or to the Union or to any of these other matters. This affects everybody on this island. So the Taoiseach has to have an all-island view. He has to have that strategically, and he has to have that as part of any upcoming negotiations. But also, and most importantly, because we all are part of a process of bringing about equality and change and harmony and reconciliation here, under the terms of the Good Friday Agreement, he also has to have this. Because unless we're very careful, a lot of the hard work that's been done, particularly around equality, particularly around rights, can be undone. And the Good Friday Agreement is an international treaty, and it supersedes any decision taken in this referendum. So the Taoiseach, as a co-equal guarantor of that agreement, has to make sure that none of it is undermined or eroded or subverted by those in London who want to do away with the important gains that have been made for citizens here.
Our focus is clearly on the democratically expressed wishes of people here in the north, and achieving a 56% vote was brought about as a result of Unionists, Nationalists and Republicans voting together to remain in Europe. So any decision to take us out of Europe is a big deal. It's a big crisis, and we have to face the reality that it is a crisis, and that there needs to be a resolution of that, which is going to be very, very difficult given a decision taken by English voters on foot of a campaign that has been headed up by a little Englander mentality and the hard right wing of the Tory party. So this is big stuff for us. This is about the future, and it is about a decision which has effectively, in my view, undermined the good work that was done in the Good Friday Agreement. So, as Gerry has correctly said, we looked to Dublin for support in this. We looked to the Taoiseach to stand up for the democratically expressed wishes of the people of the north, who've made it absolutely clear that under no circumstances do we want to leave the European Union. And the Taoiseach, I think, also has a duty and a responsibility to recognise, as the Scots have done and have clearly indicated, that this is of such fundamental importance that there is, in all probability, a second Scottish referendum on independence on the agenda. Well, what the Taoiseach needs to understand is that we do believe that there is now, against the backdrop of this decision, which has been so detrimental to everybody on this island, for a border poll. People say when we raise the issue of the border poll, would that not create instability? Would it not lead to a very fractious situation? Why would it? I do believe that such a border poll and the run into it can be conducted in a civilised atmosphere, just as the Scottish referendum was. So, you know, what has happened overnight is massive, with very profound implications. The outworking of all of this in terms of how it can damage our economy and developing our economy front and centre of programme for governments has been a feature of what we've been at, on the basis that people who have come through a conflict need to benefit from the fruits of peace. How do they do that? They do that by provision of jobs, provision of first-class public services, the protection of rights. So all of these matters are of critical importance, and even in the course of arriving here today, based on a conversation with somebody very close to infrastructural projects in the north, already they're talking about how infrastructural projects that are key to the development of our economy will be impacted by this decision as a result of the prospect that European funding will be withdrawn. That's only one aspect of how damaging this could be. Let's face reality here, folks. Those people who say that all of our problems will be resolved by a British government that will compensate the North for the loss of funds from Europe, I think they're living in cloud cuckoo land. They certainly haven't learned from the experiences that we have been through with this Tory administration last time out, alongside the Liberal Democrats, where they effectively cut billions out of our block grant.